To solve this question, we need to remember the spirit of Oprah Winfrey, who famously said, "Challenges are gifts that force us to search for the new center of gravity. Don't fight them, just find a new way to stand." Let's embrace the challenge presented in this question, viewing them as opportunities to discover innovative solutions and approaches. You need to determine how submerged pencil will look in a glass of water. You're presented with 3 visual choices A, B, and C. And then there's the last choice D, neither. Do you think you know the answer? Well, just like a lot of things in life, this question may not be the easiest to solve. But I have full confidence that you have all the required skills and creativity to tackle it. And I know that you definitely will give it a try by pausing this video. Trust in your abilities, and let's explore all possible options together. Let's tackle this problem as a team. Ready to show your answer? I truly hope your answer is correct. But remember that regardless of being correct or not, every attempt, regardless of the outcome, contributes to your personal growth and development. What's cool about this question is that it gives us the opportunity to refresh our knowledge in the concept called refraction. When you put pencil through the water surface, going from substance of air into the substance of water, the light rays passing through the water are reaching your eyes and they undergo the refraction. Transition from air to water causes the angle of incidence to decrease, leading to a change in the angle of refraction, which bends the pencil's appearance due to the differences in refractive indices of air and water. Refraction can cause the pencil to appear bent or broken at the water surface and to create optical illusions that affect our perception of objects. But what we know for sure is that it's definitely not going to look just like a regular pencil submerged. If you don't believe me, just try this easy-to-conduct experiment for yourself, which means that the correct answer here is choice B. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to answer similar problems on the test. To get us on the right track with this question and help you solve it, I would like to quote Nelson Mandela. "The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall." So let's approach this assessment test question with determination and perseverance, recognizing that each obstacle we overcome brings us closer to success. You're presented with 3 buckets. Buckets are hanging from the strings, and you need to determine which bucket is the heaviest if all buckets are fixed to equal lengths flexible string. You have 4 choices. Choices are A, B, C, and last but not least, choice D, neither. The only thing obvious here is that this question may seem daunting at first, but I know you have the skills and creativity to tackle it. Trust in your abilities, and let's explore all possible solutions together. Let's tackle it as a team. Are you ready to show your answer? I have no doubts that together we will decode this tough question, and I hope you did give it a try. Remember that every attempt, regardless of the outcome, contributes to your growth and development. To get to the answer, let's first look at the question in more details. We have 3 buckets. Each bucket is connected to the string connectors with the string of the same length. All string connectors are on the same string line, and what we can visually see is that bucket A is in the highest position, bucket B is a little bit lower, and the bucket C is in the lowest position. What does it tell us? What we know from physics is that when multiple objects are suspended from the flexible string, they will settle into the state of equilibrium. In the state of equilibrium, the tension in the string will be equal at all points along its length. However, due to the differences in weight, the heavier bucket will exert a greater downward force on the string compared to the lighter buckets. As a result, the heavier bucket will cause more tension in the string, causing it to sag lower compared to the lighter buckets. This visual cue of the lower position of the bucket C can give you an impression that the bucket C is heavier, even though it may or may not be the case in the reality. But here's the caveat. This would only be true if the distance between string connectors would be the same. This introduces another consideration here, because distance A for the bucket A is greater than distance B, which is greater than distance C for the bucket C. Because the distance shortens between the string connectors, and distance A is greater than distance B, which is greater than distance C, this might explain why bucket B and bucket C is lower still. But it becomes obvious that because the distance between connector shortening, it's impossible to determine which bucket is the heaviest, since shortening of the distance from A to C can explain lower positioning of the bucket, even if buckets would have the same weight. Think about it, because it's very logical. Even if the buckets would be of the same weight, by shortening the distance between string connectors, you will be able to lower the bucket. Based on this, I can conclude that the correct answer here is choice D, neither. But this question is not as obvious. Do you have different considerations? Please make sure to share your thoughts and rationale in comments so we can all learn. You would have to agree that solving this particular problem is like baking a cake. It requires the right ingredients, a bit of precision, and the end result is pretty sweet. I think that looking at each test question this way would be like looking at baking a piece of mosaic of your knowledge, contributing to the bigger picture of your abilities. In this question, you're presented with the set of gears, and you need to determine the direction of the last gear. Your choices for answers are choice A, CW, choice B, CCW, choice C, no movement, and last but not least, choice D, depends on X. Feeling challenged by this question? I totally understand. Remember though, that you are not navigating this path alone. Whether you're a problem-solving expert or a newcomer, I have full faith in your capabilities. Take a moment to gather your thoughts, tap into your imaginative side, and let's triumph over this challenge together. Your solution is almost ready and is definitely within reach. Are you ready with your solution? I hope you are. So let's move forward and compare our versions of the answer. Together, we will unravel the complexities of this assessment test question. I'll ask you for a favor though, and specifically to share your thought process in comments. Your insights might hold the key for all of us to learn and improve. To solve this question, we need to identify which gear is the input, which one is connected to the power source, and which one is the output gear, the final gear that performs the desired task. In the next step, we need to identify the direction of rotation for each gear. Gears can rotate clockwise, this is where abbreviation CW comes from, or counterclockwise, this is what CCW stands for. Let's solve this challenge by following the transfer of rotation from one gear to another. Our first input gear is rotating in clockwise direction. As you might be well aware, when rotation is transferred to another gear, it will be rotated in the opposite direction, which would be counterclockwise. Let's follow the directions for each gear. Input 1 is clockwise, then counterclockwise, clockwise again, counterclockwise again, clockwise, counterclockwise, clockwise, counterclockwise, and the output gear is rotating in clockwise direction. Let me show you alternative way how you can solve it faster. For example, if the number of gears in between input and output is odd, the last gear will rotate in the same direction as input gear. On the other hand, if the number of gears is even, the last gear will rotate in the opposite direction from the first gear. Let's look at the example. Let's look at the odd number of gears. The simplest odd number is 1. The rotations transferred from input clockwise to the next gear counterclockwise and then to the output, which would be clockwise again. On the other hand, if there's an even number of gears in between input and output, and the smallest even number is 2, you see how rotation converges from input clockwise to the opposite to input counterclockwise at the output gear. With this in mind, let's solve this challenge alternative way. Let's count number of gears in between input and output. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 gears. And since there are 7 gears in between input and output gears, which is odd number, the direction of output gear will be the same as the direction of the input gear. So the correct answer here is choice A, CW, clockwise. I think this question is not just about engineering, but also about your critical thinking and analytical skills. If you use the same bow to shoot arrows at angles of 45 degrees, 0 degrees, and 60 degrees, which angle will make the arrow travel the farthest? You have 4 possible choices. Choice A, 45 degrees. Choice B, 0 degrees. Choice C, 60 degrees. And last but not least, choice D, neither one. Take a close look to see if you can come up with the answer. On my end, I am moving forward to share with you my version of the analysis and answer, and obviously if you have a better way to solve it, please make sure to post in comments. Let's start by looking at the scenario where we shoot the arrow at 0 degrees, which ultimately means horizontal shot. When you shoot it at 0 degrees, it means you're firing it horizontally parallel to the ground. In this case, the arrow initial velocity is responsible for its horizontal distance because there is no vertical component in its motion. What's interesting here is that the arrow will cover some horizontal distance, but it won't travel very far because gravity starts acting on it immediately, pulling it downward. Now let's compare it to shooting an arrow at a 60-degree angle. This means we are launching it at a steeper angle upward compared with even 45-degree angle. What's interesting in this case is that while it still have a horizontal component, more of its initial velocity is directed upward. As a result, the arrow will reach a greater height but cover less horizontal distance before it hits the ground. Which brings us to the 45-degree angle solution. If you want to make sure your arrow reach farthest horizontal distance, you should shoot it at a 45-degree angle. 45-degree angle allows for the best balance between horizontal and vertical components of an arrow's motion, maximizing its range. So the correct answer here is choice B, 45 degrees. Did you get to the same answer? If not, please make sure to share your thoughts and rationale in comments so we can all learn. Here's an amazing question which tests your knowledge of objects, their properties, and the way they move from the top of the hill down to the ground. You're presented with 3 different objects, and you need to determine which object will reach ground first when pushed to slide from the top of the hill. You have 4 possible choices to select from. Choice A, wheel. Choice B, wooden box. Choice C, sticky substance. And last but not least, choice D, they all reach the ground at the same time. Take a close look, maybe pause this video to see if you can come up with the answer. On my end, I have my selection, so I'm moving forward to share with you my version of the answer. And obviously, if you have a better way to solve it, please make sure to post in comments. To determine the answer, let's look at each object individually. This will help us decide all the considerations related to their sliding from the top of the hill down to the ground. Let's start with the cube. Cube's shape may cause it to experience higher levels of friction against the slide, slowing its descent. But at the same time, sticky substance may move even slower, because the behavior of sticky substance will largely depend on its viscosity and adhesive properties. If the substance is highly viscous and adheres strongly to the slide, it may experience significant resistance and it will take much longer for it to reach the ground. In some scenarios, depending upon viscosity, the sticky substance may never reach the ground at all. Based on this, I think most likely sticky substance will be the slowest in reaching down the bottom of the slide, followed by the cube, which would be second in sliding down. So, as you might have guessed, I am putting my bets on the wheel. I think wheel's rolling motion will help reduce friction with the slide, allowing wheel to move more smoothly. This is why the wheel may reach the ground faster than all other objects. This is why I think the correct answer is choice A, wheel, because the wheel will roll and will have minimum friction to reach the ground. Did you come to the different conclusion? If yes, please make sure to post your answer, solution, and rationale in comments so we can all learn. Here's a very interesting question where you need to demonstrate your knowledge of tools and their uses. Samir is about to tackle a tricky repair job. You need to identify the essential tool featured in the image and select the option that best matches it. You're presented with 5 choices. Choices A, B, C, D, E. Take a close look to see if you can come up with the answer. On my end, I am moving forward to share with you my version of the solution. And obviously, if you have a better way to solve this, as usual, please post in comments. I believe you probably recognize the tool shown. It is screwdriver. But this is only the first step. In the second step, we need to identify all other tools shown and determine their relationship with screwdriver. I think choice A is a knife. A knife is a cutting tool, and it is not closely related to a screwdriver. Choice B is a nail. A nail is a fastening tool, which is used to join materials, but it's also not directly related to the screwdriver. Choice D is a hammer. And hammer is a tool that's used to drive nails or other fasteners, which is different from screwdriver's primary function. And choice E is a bolt, which is the type of fastener, like a screw, but it's not directly related to a screwdriver. So, as you might have guessed, the correct answer here is choice C, screw. In fact, screwdriver is specifically designed for turning screws. When using a screwdriver, you insert its tip into the head of a screw and turn it to tighten or loosen the screw. You can even guess it based on the names, screwdriver and screw. This relationship between the screwdriver and the screw makes choice C the most closely related tool or object to the screwdriver in the given options. Was your answer different? Or maybe you had other considerations? If you did, please make sure to post them in comments so we can all learn. Here's an amazing question to see how well you know the tools. You're presented with 5 tools, and you need to match the tool with the task performed. Choice 1, tool is used for making curved cuts in various materials. Choice 2 is used to loosen or tighten plumbing pipes. Choice 3, used to apply sparkle or correction putty. Choice 4 is used to apply lubrication to gears and machinery. And last but not least, choice 5 is used for cutting down trees, trimming branches, and processing woods. And you need to match this description with choices A, B, C, D, and E. Take a close look to see if you can come up with the answer. Are you ready? I think I'm ready on my end, so I'm moving forward to share with you my version of the answer. And obviously, if you have a better way to solve it, please make sure to post in comments. Let's start with the choice 1. I believe the description for choice 1 is a jigsaw. Jigsaw is a handheld power tool equipped with the reciprocating blade used for making intricate curved cuts in the materials such as wood, metal, or plastic. And description 1 matches image B. I think choice 2 matches the pipe wrench. And a pipe wrench is a specialized hand tool used for gripping and turning plumbing pipes to tighten or loosen them during installation or repair. As you might have guessed, description 2 matches the image E. I think description 3 matches putty knife. And the putty knife is a flat, flexible tool, often with a metal blade used for applying and smoothing substances like sparkle, correction putty, or paint on surfaces. And description 3 matches choice C. I think choice 4 is a grease gun. A grease gun is a handheld device designed for applying lubricating grease to machinery, gears, or bearings to reduce friction or maintain proper functioning. And last but not least, description 5 resembles a chainsaw. Chainsaw is a portable mechanical saw with a rotating chain of sharp teeth, commonly used for felling trees, cutting branches, and processing wood in forestry, construction, or landscaping. You can see grease gun matching image A and chainsaw matching image D. Did you come up with any other conclusions? Or maybe have some other thoughts about this question? Please make sure to post your feedback and rationale in comments so we can all learn. This is one of the most exciting questions because it allows you to test your analytical skills and understanding of physics. You need to determine which fan throws more air if all the fans rotate at the same speed. The choices are fan A, fan B, fan C, and last but not least, choice D, neither fan. Take a close look to see if you can come up with the answer. Are you ready? I'm moving forward to share with you my version of the answer. And if you have a better way to solve it, please make sure to post in comments. As you might be well aware, there are 2 key factors to help determine the airflow rate. The first one is the size of the fan's blade, and the second one is rotational speed of the fan, which is measured in RPMs, which stands for revolution per minute. A fan with the larger blades can capture and move more air per revolution compared to the same fan design with the smaller blades. And this is exactly what we're dealing with here in this question. In addition, the rotational speed of the fan affects the airflow design. The higher RPM generally results in a higher airflow rate as the fan blades are able to move through the air at the faster rate. As you can see here, the fans A, B, and C all have the same design. This is why, given the fact that 3 fans have the same design but different sizes, the fan with the largest size will throw more air compared to the smaller fans. This is why the correct answer here is choice C. Did you get to the same answer? If not, please share your answer and rationale in comments. Here's an amazing question to test your knowledge of mechanical movement of objects. You're presented with the picture of person moving the object, and you need to determine if all objects weigh the same, which one will be easiest to move forward if the same person is pushing with equal force. You need to select one out of 4 possible choices. Choice A, person moving forward a cube. Choice B, person moving forward a hexagon. Choice C, person moving forward a ball. And last but not least is neither one. Take a close look to see if you can come up with the answer. On my end, I'm moving forward to share with you my version of the solution, and obviously if you have a better way to solve it, please make sure to post in comments. Let's analyze all shapes individually to better understand the answer. Let's start with the cube. Cube typically has a symmetrical weight distribution, which can contribute to its stability when moving on the ground. However, due to its edges and corners, a cube can experience higher levels of friction when compared to objects with rounded shapes and will be hard to roll. Most likely way of moving the cube forward would be pushing it, which will create a lot of resistance. Now let's look at the hexagon. Hexagon has 6 sides, and the shape can vary depending upon the specific dimensions and proportions. Compared to a cube, a hexagon generally has fewer edges and corners, which reduces the friction and makes it easier to move on the ground by rolling. Even though it might be easier to move than the cube, the ease of movement will also depend on the specific dimensions and weight distribution of the hexagon. Which brings us to choice C, sphere or ball, which typically has a smooth surface. The absence of edges and corners reduces the contact area with the ground, which results in a lower friction. This makes it easier to move the ball forward by rolling on the ground, compared to objects with edges or corners. This is why choice C is correct. It will have minimum friction and will facilitate smooth movement with minimum resistance. Let's look at the question where you need to determine the trajectory after parachutists jump from the plane. Obviously, based on the wind and other external conditions, there would be multiple choices, but fortunately, you need to select only one out of 4 possible choices. Choices A, B, and C. And if none of the choices A, B, and C is correct, you need to select choice D, which would represent neither one. Take a close look to see what is the parachutist's trajectory after jumping from the plane. I have full confidence in your skills and knowledge, so I'm moving forward to share with you my version of the answer. And obviously, if you have a better way to solve it, please make sure to post in comments. To better understand the answer, we need to determine what changes from when parachutist is inside the plane and when parachutist jumps from the plane. When parachutist is inside the plane, both the parachutist and the airplane are moving together in the same direction. When parachutist jumps from the plane, there are multiple forces that will determine the trajectory. Number 1 is inertia. According to Newton's first law of motion, the law of inertia, the parachutist will continue moving forward in the direction of the plane. Initially, the parachutist will have the velocity they had inside the plane, but they will slow down over time due to air resistance. Another force that will define the trajectory is the force of gravity. As soon as the parachutist leaves the plane, they will be subject to the force of gravity. Gravity pulls the parachutist downward toward the earth. And the last force that will drive the trajectory would be acceleration due to gravity. Acceleration due to gravity is the force that pulls objects toward the earth. When something is in the air, gravity causes it to fall toward the ground. The acceleration due to gravity is always the same for all objects near the Earth's surface, and it means that objects will fall faster and faster the longer they fall. So let's look closely at what's going to happen after parachutist jumps. After jumping, the parachutist initially maintains the horizontal velocity due to inertia. Once outside the airplane, they accelerate downward due to gravity until they reach terminal velocity. The deployment of the parachute increases air resistance, allowing for controlled descent, allowing parachutists to land safely. The closest answer that describes this solution is choice A. Is this what you got in your answer? If not, please make sure to post your solution and rationale in comments so we can all learn. Let's face it, cracking this particular question is like teaching a giraffe to limbo. A tall order, but once you bend your mind around it, the success is a real stretch. This question might be secretly measuring our ability to handle mental acrobatics to deal with unusually looking shapes. Speaking about shapes, you're presented with 4 shapes, and 3 of them are very unusual, and you need to determine which shape has the longest perimeter. Your goal is to select the answer out of 4 possible choices. Choices A, B, C, and D. You feel like you stumbled upon a tough task? Well, you are not alone in this journey. I feel exactly the same way. But whether you're a problem-solving veteran or a newcomer, I believe in your capabilities. Take a moment to reflect, tap into your creativity, and let's tackle this challenge together. Your answer is just waiting to be discovered. Are you ready with your solution? If you need a little help, gear up for the explanation. Together, we will unravel the complexities of this question. I will ask you for a favor though, and specifically to share your thought process in comments. Your insights might hold the key for all of us to learn and improve. To solve this challenge, let's look at some important considerations. You might have noticed that all shapes here consist of the same square building block. But because shapes are so dramatically different, perimeter of the shape can be calculated in 2 different ways. The first way is to calculate the total length of the boundaries. The example here might be shape C. And the second way to calculate the perimeter might be sum of length of all of the sides. An example of this shape might be square, which is represented by shape A. Because the squares are all the same, we can assume that we can use square as 1 unit in the calculation. For example, the rightmost side in the shape C could be calculated as 4 units, and the rightmost side in the square would consist of 3 units. To calculate the perimeter of shape A, we need to sum up both of its sides and multiply it by 2. 3 plus 3 in parentheses multiplied by 2 equals 12. Perimeter of shape A can be measured as 12 units. Now let's look at shape B. Here we need to manually count the boundary squares. Let's do it together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, and 20. So perimeter for shape B consists of 20 units. Same thing is for shape C. Please verify my math, and if I made a mistake, post it in comments. But shape D is different. Let's do the math. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 20, 21, and 22. Which means that the shape's D perimeter is the longest with 22 units. So the correct answer here is choice D. Here's an absolutely brilliant and at the same time very tricky question, but I have full confidence that you'll be able to solve it. You need to determine which item is the heaviest. And you're presented with 4 possible choices. Choice A, 2 pounds of iron. Choice B, 2 pounds of cotton. Choice C, 2 pounds of potatoes. And last but not least, choice D, neither one. Take a close look to see if you can come up with the answer. I am pretty sure you already have an answer by now, so I'm moving forward to share with you my version of the solution. And obviously, if you have a better way to solve it, please make sure to post in comments. As you might have figured out, all 3 objects, 2 pounds of iron, 2 pounds of potatoes, and 2 pounds of cotton, will have the same weight. The explanation for this is that the weight of an object is determined by the force of gravity acting on it, and this force is proportional to the mass of the object. Since all three objects have a mass of 2 pounds, they will experience the same gravitational force and therefore will have the same weight. But the confusion here is that the density of these objects is different. Density is a measure of how much mass is packed into a given volume. Iron is much denser than potatoes or cotton. This is why, if you have to compare the volume occupied by each object, the iron will take up less space than the potatoes or the cotton. Presented images are very misleading and were designed to confuse you. So the correct answer here is choice D, neither object, since neither object is the heaviest. I love this question because it truly tests your knowledge of mechanical engineering. You're presented with acrobat and the weight on a seesaw. You need to determine in which direction should the acrobat move his body to balance the seesaw. And you only have 2 choices, choice A to the left or choice B to the right. Take a close look to see if you can come up with the answer. On my end, I am moving forward to share with you my version of the answer. And obviously, if you have a better way to solve it, please make sure to post in comments. As you might be well aware, the seesaw is an example of a lever, where fulcrum is between the effort and the load. In our example, we have a weight on the left side of the seesaw and acrobat on the right side of the seesaw. The key principle of balancing the seesaw is when a force is applied to the end of the lever can lift the weight at the other end. For the seesaw to be balanced, the torque applied to the acrobat must increase. Since the acrobat's weight is constant, the only way to increase the input torque is by increasing the distance from the fulcrum. If acrobat moves in the direction B, this will shift the acrobat's center of gravity further from the fulcrum, resulting in a greater torque, thereby balancing it. So the correct answer here is choice B, moving the acrobat to the right. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you for helping us to become one of the largest YouTube channels to help people become smarter, increase your IQ, and to pass any test. If the content of this video was helpful, please make sure to click the like button to help YouTube algorithm promote this video and help other people to find it faster. Giving us a like is also a way for you to tell us that you need more content like this, and when you tell us, we will deliver it for you in the future. For links to free and premium resources, please check the description and comments of this video. You can also go directly to our website, howtoanalyzedata.net, to download the materials related to this topic. I really appreciate your endorsement, support, and patronage of this channel. And thank you for considering to become a member and considering to subscribe. Please leave feedback, suggestions, or corrections in comments. And all the best on your journey. I'll see you in my next video.